Hello students, welcome to my channel. This is the second lecture in space physics. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the activities in the solar atmosphere. We know that the sun is not a quiet place, but it is the one which exhibits the sudden releases of energy. The atmosphere of sun is a source of many observable effects and interesting phenomena. Some of the most frequently observed events are: in the photospheric layer, we see the formation of solar granulations, formation of sunspots and faculae. In the chromosphere, we observe the phenomena such as spicules, solar plates, networks and internetworks, that is the formation of grains, then solar prominences and solar filaments, solar flares and eruptions. In the coronal layer, we observe the great prominences, solar flares and streamers. In addition to these, we see two important phenomena. One is the solar wind and the other one is the mysterious 11-year cycles of solar activity. These are the some of the important phenomena we observe in the solar atmosphere. We are not going to study all of them in detail, just we are considering only, we are limiting ourselves only to the last two mechanisms, that is solar wind and other one is solar activity, that is solar cycle. The first one is solar wind. We know that the sun not only emits the electromagnetic waves in all possible wavelengths, but also a continuous stream of plasma and magnetic fields with very high velocities that permeates into interplanetary space through the solar system in all directions. The plasma stream ejected by the sun has been called by L. Behrman as corpuscular radiation, and then it was called as solar wind in 1958 by Ian Parker. The figure shows the emission of the mass of the sun in the form of solar winds. So we can define solar wind as a stream of plasma that constantly escaping from the solar corona at supersonic speeds, that is as high as 400 kilometers per second. Supersonic speeds means the speeds which are greater than the speed of sound, and inflates into heliosphere. Heliosphere is an enormous bubble-like volume surrounded by the interplanetary space. Solar wind is composed of energized charged particles, approximately equal number of high-speed ions and electrons, with energies usually between 1.5 to 10 keV, kilo electron volts. The ion component consists of predominantly the protons, almost 95% of protons, with the small amount of doubly ionized helium, that is the alpha particles, and even a small trace amounts of many other heavier ionic species. So, to summarize, solar wind is a stream of particles, that is plasma, composed of equal number of positively charged ions and negatively charged electrons with energy between 1.5 to 10 keV, traveling at a speed greater than supersonic speeds, approximately 400 kilometers per second, and inflates into heliosphere. Now let us understand what is the cause for solar wind, the origin of solar wind. Solar winds exist as a consequence of supersonic expansion of the sun's hot outer atmosphere from the coronal holes. As the temperature of the corona is so high, 2 into 10 power of 6 Kelvin, that the sun's gravity can't counter it. Let us understand this in a little more detail. Coronal holes, the main source of solar wind is the coronal holes. Coronal holes are the places of weak open magnetic fields. Now the figure shows here the position of coronal holes. These are the sources of solar wind. These coronal holes are the places of weak magnetic fields and they exist near the poles of the sun. These coronal holes are dark for both X-rays and white light. Now, when these coronal holes are formed because of this weak magnetic fields, the matter is expelled out of the sun through these coronal holes. Let us understand how the ejection of matter takes place. At high coronal temperature of the order of 2 into 10 to the power of 6 Kelvin, the particles, that is the stream of particles, are assumed to be having very high speeds according to Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. The particles at the tail of the distribution will have the velocities greater than the escape velocity from the solar gravitational field. Some particles therefore continuously eject from the sun and the stream outwards to the nearby planets, and quite likely the influence of the solar wind extends up to the Saturn. So we can conclude that our entire Earth is immersed in the stream of plasma radiated by the sun in the form of solar wind. The solar wind varies in density, speed, temperature, and strength and orientation of the magnetic field within the flow. The solar wind varies in all the parameters varies. There is density, speed, temperature, the strength and orientation of the magnetic field, etc. We're going to discuss the strength of the and orientation of the magnetic field in the next slide. Now, if you consider the position of the solar wind at the orbit of the Earth, that is one astronomical unit from the sun, the typical solar wind densities, flow speeds and temperature are of the order of densities of the order of 8 protons per centimeter cube. The speed is about 440 kilometers per second, and the temperature is about 1.2 into 10 to the power of 5 Kelvin. These are the typical parameters at the position of the sun, Earth, from the sun. However, the solar wind is highly variable in both space and time. Sun is continuously evaporating its matter, mass, in the form of solar wind. The sun loses about 1 million tons of its mass every second in the form of solar wind. However, if we take the entire lifetime of sun, it approximately loses only 0.1% of its total mass in the form of solar wind. This solar wind takes approximately 3 days to reach the Earth's surface. Solar winds do not really affect the Earth and its atmosphere. However, on rare occasions, the solar wind can cause massive space weather storms and disrupt the satellites in space and our communication systems and power grids. Even though solar wind consists of charged particles and ions, that do not really affect the Earth. That is because the Earth is protected from these solar winds because of its own magnetic field. Its own magnetic field, the first point. The second point is it is at a convenient position of fifth planet in the solar system. So this ensures that the Earth is far away from the solar winds and do not really affect, but close enough to have heat from the sun to sustain all its life forms. But in certain occasions, there may be a chance that they can affect the massive space weather storms. They can release the massive space weather storms that can disrupt the satellites in space and our communication system and also the power grids. This is very, very rare situation. Sunspots. Sunspots are the darker regions on the solar surface with strong magnetic fields and relatively low temperatures that are constantly shifting. Observe here, these are the position of the sunspots we are seeing here. These are the darker regions on the solar surface having strong magnetic fields and relatively low temperatures, and the positions, the number of sunspots are continuously shifting with both space as well as time. These sunspots were first systematically observed by Galileo Galilei and Christoph Scheiner and contemporaries around 1609, and realized that the sun is rotating differentially. It means the rotating speed is faster at the poles and slower at the equator. The typical thickness of the sunspots ranges about 10,000 kilometers to 20,000 kilometers. The sunspot groups may have many times, they can have the size many times that of the Earth and contain complex magnetic structures. The forecasters analyze the size of these active regions and assess their magnetic complexity and evaluate the growth and decay. Now observe here, this complete darker region is called as umbra region of the sunspot. The relatively lighter portions are called as penumbra regions, and they are surrounded by solar granulations. They are visible on the solar surface as dark features with a dark core called as umbra region. Just now I explained. This dark core is called as the umbra region with a much lower temperature of about 4000 Kelvin than the ambient photospheric gas. That is, the ambient photospheric gas temperature is 6000 Kelvin and surrounded by a lighter region called as penumbra region. Each spot can last from a few days to few months. As we already understood, the position of these sunspots, position size continuously vary with both space and time. The sunspots can exist at a particular location for few days to few months. And their number also vary. Sometimes it may go very high up to few hundreds and sometimes very less to a single digit number. The magnetic fields in a sunspot is 1000 times, approximately 1000 times greater than its surrounding area. At the central region of the sunspot, the magnetic field strength goes up to 3000 Gauss. Sunspots are almost always exist in the form of pairs at the same latitude, with each member having opposite polarity. The sunspots always exist in the form of pairs. If one pair have the south pole polarity, the other one will have North Pole. At the same latitude, all the sunspots are having the same polarity. All the sunspots in the same hemisphere will have the same magnetic configuration. That means, now observing in the northern hemisphere, the orientation is from south to north as we move in the anti-clockwise direction. Similarly, in the southern hemisphere, it will be from north to south. The configuration and orientation depends on whether we are observing the sunspots in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere. Solar cycle. Our sun is a huge ball of electrically charged hot gas. These charged gases move, generating powerful magnetic fields. It has been observed that every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field completely flips. That is, the north and south poles switch over. This phenomenon affects the activity on the surface of the sun, such as the sunspots, which are caused by the sun's magnetic fields. As the magnetic fields change, the amount of solar activity on the sun surface is also likely to change. Since the early 17th century, the astronomers have been observing these changes in the activity of the sun, that is the sunspots, on the surface of the sun. It was found that the sunspots follow a cyclic pattern of growing in number and disappearing approximately 11 years, known as the sunspot cycle or sun's magnetic activity cycle. The observations made by the astronomers since from the 17th century indicates that the magnetic field activity of the sun, that is the sunspot, they continuously grow in number and then disappear. And this switching over of the number of sunspots takes place approximately in 11 years. So we can define the solar cycle as, or the solar magnetic activity cycle is a nearly a periodic 11-year change in the sun's activity and the appearance measured in terms of variation of the number of observed sunspots on the solar surface. This entire magnetic activity of the sun is measured in terms of variations in the number of sunspots formed on the solar surface. And this variation takes place periodically in a time interval of 11 years. The solar cycle was discovered in 1843 by Samuel Henry Schwabe, who after 17 years of observations noticed that there is a periodic variation in the average number of sunspots. The sunspot time series is the longest for about nearly 400 years, continuously observed time series of any natural phenomena. Sunspot cycle is the longest experimental observation. Observation made with respect to any natural phenomena. It has been continuously observed for nearly 400 years, and the observations are continuously recorded. This figure depicts the variations of the average number of sunspots that has been observed since 1700 over a duration of 400 years. It has been observed that from 1650 to 700 there is a minimum number of sunspots are observed, and since then continuously there is a variation, periodic variation in the number of sunspots. Now, Now observe here, since from the 20th century, we are continuously in different number of solar cycles. Now at present, we are in the 24th sunspot cycle since its observation has been begun, that is in the 1755. The actual observation of the sunspot cycle is started from 1755, and since then, that is the first cycle, solar sunspot cycle. And now at present in 2020, we are in the end stage of 24th sunspot cycle. And almost we are at the end of the 24th sunspot cycle. Solar cycle is, as we discussed in the beginning of this topic, it is solar cycle is due to the flipping of the magnetic polarities of the sun. The direction of the magnetic polarity flips every 11 years. So if you take one complete solar cycle, its duration is 22 years. Back to original orientation takes place in every 22 years. Thus, the solar cycles have an average duration of about 11 years. During this 11 years, we observe the maximum number of sunspots and minimum number of sunspots, which refers to solar maximum and solar minimum. Now observe here, the activity of the corona, that is the solar maximum, takes place every 11 years. Now observe here, the activity is least, and that is in 1996 it was least, and it is reached a maximum in 2001. The solar activity or coronal activity. The sun is usually very active and gives off more electromagnetic radiation than usual during the solar maximum. So observe the figure. Its brightness is more, it is giving its activity is more. It means that it is ejecting more energy and appears to be more brighter. It means the count rate of the sunspot is very high. This extra energy creates the changes in space and in the Earth's upper atmosphere and on the Earth's surface. However, these severe storms can occur anytime during the electromagnetic solar radiations. The radiations from the sun, which is more popularly known as sunlight, is a mixture of electromagnetic waves ranging from infrared regions to ultraviolet rays, and it of course includes visible light, which is in between IR and UV in the electromagnetic spectrum, which especially in short wavelength part below 315 nanometer is considered to be harmful to the life on the earth. Actually, the sun does not only produce IR, visible and ultraviolet radiations. During the fusion in the core, actually it gives out high energy gamma rays. However, these gamma radiations, the gamma ray photons, they trace random zigzag path and continuously lose their energy before they reaching the sun's surface. That is called as photon diffusion. During this diffusion, they continuously lose their energy and re-emitted in the form of radiations of lower frequencies. By the time they reach the surface, their frequencies mostly lie within IR, visible, or in the ultraviolet region. This figure indicates the distribution of wavelengths in the dominant part of solar radiations, which reaches the Earth's surface. Ultraviolet region, which is divided into three parts: ultraviolet A, ultraviolet B, and ultraviolet C. Visible part, which ranges from 4000 to 7000, and IR radiations ranging from 700 to 900 nanometer. These are the three dominant regions of electromagnetic spectrum which forms the electromagnetic solar radiations. The intensity distribution is as shown in this figure. Wavelengths around below 315 are almost cut off when there is the Earth's surface, and the intensity curve gradually increases, reaches the maximum in the visible part, and then again decreases in the IR region. And in the radio wavelength region, almost it is very, very small. It is of the order of 10 to the power of minus 12 to 14 times the relative intensity. The band of significant radiation power from the sun can be divided into 5 regions in the increasing order of their wavelengths. The first one, lowermost, ultraviolet C or UVC range, which spans a range from 100 to 280 nanometer, owing to absorption by the atmosphere. Very little of this wavelength reaches the Earth's surface. Ultraviolet B or UVB. This wavelength band ranges are the spans over a wavelength of 280 nanometer to 350 nanometer. It is also greatly absorbed by the atmosphere. This radiation, along with UVC, is responsible for photochemical reaction and directly damages the DNA and causes the sunburn. These two wavelength regions are considered to be harmful to human beings because they can cause several hazardous effects, such as they can cause the sunburn, and also they can manipulate the DNA structures. The next one is UVA or ultraviolet A. This spans from 315 nanometers to 400 nanometer. The next one, fourth one, visible range or visible light, which spans from a wavelength region of 380 nanometers to 780 nanometer. It is this range that is visible to the naked eye, and it is also the strongest output range of the sun's total irradiance spectrum. In the previous slide, we have seen that the intensity distribution is maximum in the visible range. The last one is infrared range. This infrared wavelength range spans from 700 nanometer to 1 millimeter. It is responsible for an important part of the electromagnetic radiation that reaches the Earth. It is also divided into 3 types on the basis of its wavelength. Infrared A spans from 700 nanometer to 1400 nanometer. IRB 1400 nanometer to 3000 nanometer, and IRC spans from 3000 nanometer to 1 millimeter. These are the different parts of the electromagnetic radiations that reaches the Earth's surface, and they are together called as electromagnetic solar radiations. In addition to this, during solar flares, the sun also emits X-rays and X-ray radiation, X-rays from the sun. Thank you.